How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Midwest. Welcome to Friday, guys. It's going to be a great weekend. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for me, so I've not been making quite as many videos as I would like to. So I apologize for that. I should be coming back on track soon, so I can make my huge. Last week I had a really lucky time. I was actually really lucky to have snow last Saturday. So I was like, oh, this is perfect for a video I've been meaning to make. So that worked out really well. Hey, what's up, Rusty Gaming? Nice to have you here. Simple Jim, Lee, how's it going, guys? Yes, early crowd. Here we are going to be talking about some questions that I've been getting a lot lately. And these are some things that I'm actually going to ask you as the tribe. I'd love to get some feedback from you to see what you think. As far as some of the content that I'm going to be putting out. So anyway, welcome everybody. I'm going to say cheers. A friend of mine just had a baby today, so it's just one of those awesome days that they just kind of come out of nowhere. I got this picture of a freshly newborn baby and healthy as can be, and it was really, really great to see that, especially this particular friend, this couple. They had a miscarriage before, and this is something we don't really talk about as a people. We don't really talk about that. That's a huge loss, and so they had that happen. So we were all pins and needles. We were really, really wondering, and hoping and praying, and just really very nervous. I mean, we were all just really nervous. But hey, this is a beautiful, healthy little boy that was born into the world today. So I'm really happy. I'm really, really happy for my friend, and happy birthday to anybody else that was born today. Rusty asks a very important question, and let's address this, Rusty Gaming. And I know who you really are, and guys, head over to Rusty Gaming for watching some gaming. This is getting a little long. He says, how long can your beard get? It's getting a little long now. It's getting to the point where, it's really obfuscating my face. I mean, look at that. That right there. I can really, right around here is where my face actually is. That's where my chin actually is. So, this really makes it seem as though I've got just a really why the long face. Hey, let's talk about beards. If you want to talk about beards, we'll talk about beards. I have got other things to talk about. I got some test results. I've been getting a lot of comments and questions about confidence. So I wanted to mention some of that. But hey, we're talking about beards. We'll get to the other stuff here in a minute. So Malandrix asks, my beard is curling up at the sides. Yes, I feel your pain. Any tips on how to make them look better? Let's talk about it. All right. So far, let's just get into something that it's been neglected. I apologize for neglecting this topic. People ask about beards. People constantly make comments about my beard. Why haven't I shared these things? Oh man, let's get into this. And Malandrix, I love this. He says he loves derailing conversations. Well, hey man, I am usually like the weather when it comes to a conversation. I'll go many different directions. We can start with a little beard. People need to know this stuff, right? So when it comes to your beard, you're going to have a lot of different phases of your beard. So just assume, like, the early stage of growing a beard, it's all going to kind of, you gotta get to know yourself too, because for some guys, you'll have a little patch that is missing here. For me, it's pretty uniform. But my wife believes, and it's not true, okay? But my wife believes that there is, like, this part right here. You can sort of see my chin. She believes that, like, I have a thinning area here or something like that. It's not true, but I go like this a lot. I'll kind of, and she thinks, no, it's not really true. But the thing is, at first, you kind of have to get to know your face, right? You got to get to know your beard, how it grows and how it's going to come out. Corey says, just grow it. And that's really the best way to find out. But like you're having the curls and stuff on the sides. You do need to eventually, and this is my advice, okay? Maybe you'll disagree. You can have your own beard life if you want. But eventually, I really recommend going to a barber. Actually go, and I go to a hairstylist. And I found there's this girl in this town, this woman, she is like a bodybuilder. It's got tattoos everywhere, piercings. I'm like, yes, I want you. You are, and I found, and she wasn't the first person that I just started to realize that people who have lots of tattoos and piercings and crazy hair, they know how I want my beard. And so I used to when I first, my wife was like, okay, if you're going to grow a long beard, you need to get, some professional, because what was happening to me is I would get the cheeks that would come right out. And I think that might be what you're talking about. I'd get the cheeks that would just and it would kind of look like a tree at the bottom. And so what happened was I started going to I hate saying a stylist because, I prefer saying barber, but the thing is, what she does, she's like, okay, I know you like Vikings because she and I talk bodybuilding. It's so cool. I go to this hairstylist. I'm going to be going to her, I guess, next week, I think. We talk bodybuilding. We talk, just like gym stuff. We talk about Viking stuff. That's pretty much most of our conversations. So I was like, yeah. So I would say that the problem is it's hard to see the sides of your face. So at least get someone to start you off, and then you can maintain it yourself. But getting a person, and the ideal way to do it for me, at least, if I don't watch the sides, it turns into this thing where it's like I guess a fro on the bottom part of my head. And so that's where I just kind of have to go down and kind of keep this trimmed to where it keeps going down. But like the other thing is this side part here. Like I like it better whenever it's this part is clipped and it has a nice cut there. So this is getting a little long. This beard actually is at its long stage. The long stage, it's a little longer than I'd like, but it is what it is. Now I got to say, whenever you get an enormous beard like this, if you go to sleep or things like that, you know how you have hat hair and bed head? Well, you'll get this kind of these depressions and things. For me also, I have calyx, and I don't know if you're familiar with that, like these little I call them, I've always heard them called calyx. They're like little things in your head where your hair grows funny. Well, I have that on one cheek, and you might find out that you do. So in order for me to not have one cheek that's weird and then the other cheek that's normal, I actually have to have it at a certain length so that the weight brings it down. There you go. Let's see here. And hey, we got a few comments on this. So, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get into how to build confidence, or at least a discussion on confidence. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about my biomarkers, because I was really surprised by my blood test. Some of you guys were here whenever I pricked my finger and then I took the blood test and I sent it in. So I found out some things I was expecting and some things I just absolutely just kind of blew my mind. So let's see here. We got Knight Rider says it's not thinning. Some parts grow out slower, at least for me. And that's exactly right. It's the same way if you've ever shaved your head. Whenever I was in high school, much to my mother's chagrin, I shaved my head and then I just instantly grew it out, but it grew out kind of weird. And same with your beard. It's gonna be that way. So Malandrick says I definitely want to try and fix the lockdown helmet beard. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, during the lockdown in Indiana, I actually shaved my beard. I actually went and if you take a look at my channel, you can see me shaving. I had it about at this length, and then I shaved it to where it's completely clean shaven. There's a whole like season of this channel that you get to watch me slowly grow my beard back. But yeah, so I've had my beard now back for, about a year almost now. Not really a year. I guess I shaved it less than a year ago, but I started growing it back like in April or May, and I just kind of haven't stopped. So yeah, it's a learning process. You got to get to know yourself. I mean, that's just really the name of the game. You're getting to know yourself. You're getting to know, this weird thing. It's funny. All it is you let your hair grow on your face. You just don't shave, and then you get to kind of see how that works. Corey, I assume you've got yourself a beard, and you've got some experience in this as well. So yeah, it's definitely a learning process, and it is worth it. It's so worth it. If you've never seen yourself with a beard, and you're a man, right? And ladies, I'm sorry, but just go ahead, see what it's like. Worst possibilities, you have to shave it off. I just ended up. It was a no shave November that never ended for me, and then I think it started like, I don't know how long ago. It's like 5 or 6 years ago. But anyway, so I've been getting some questions about how to build self-confidence, and this is something that I think I'm going to be making a few more videos about. Specifically, I've had questions about how to talk to like people, right? And how to build enough confidence to just talk to new people that you don't already know. And of course, I've also had a lot of comments. How do you talk to girls? How do you get into the dating thing? And this channel will never ever turn into like, hey, these are some pickup lines and things like that. But I did record a video earlier today, just kind of giving some of the advice that I wish I would have had whenever I was younger. I don't know how old you guys are that are watching now, but I'm 40. I've been married for 10 years almost. So this June will be 10 years of marriage for me. And so, I remember really feeling confused when I was younger, and wishing I had some more kind of advice. And then I think most of us just overthink this stuff. And so I've got a video. It's a fireside chat. Literally, I filmed it next to a fireplace. So we'll see if I'm going to take a look and see how the footage looks. And then we might be uploading that one later this week, maybe possibly this weekend or next week. The other thing I was wanting to talk about today, and we'll get into the confidence stuff, but guys, I've been doing this base biomarkers, and so I started this. I don't know how long ago it's been now. It was before the first of the year, and I started checking some of my biomarkers. So I started checking things like testosterone. That was the first one I checked, and I found out that my testosterone was a little bit low. It was not like crazy low, but it was like low, normal. And then I found out, I was like, okay, what are some things that I should be thinking about? What are some dietary changes and things like that? And then I was like, okay, what else should I test? So I tested cortisol because there's oftentimes a connection between low testosterone and high cortisol. So cortisol, that's basically the hormone. It's a stress hormone, and it's something that it has a lot of positive benefits. Stuff that, like, for instance, every morning whenever you wake up, it's important to have a spike of cortisol. And for those of you guys like me who practice Wim Hof method, hey, we get a nice spike of cortisol, and we really wake ourselves up with Wim Hof method breath work. And then after practicing Wim Hof method for longer periods of time, typically the average person has lower levels of cortisol than like in regular everyday life, because you have more resilience. You're able to put up with everyday stressors. So I was curious. I was like, well, this is what should be happening according to what I know. I feel like this has definitely happened. I know I'm far less stressed, but there's no way to actually know, right? There's no way to actually know until you test it. So I started with this company called Base, and for the viewers of this channel, I was able to get a discount code. If you guys want to try it, in the description box below, you just go to Get Base. There's an app on the iPhone or Android, it's kind of hard to find on the Android. You have to do base tracking. That's what you'll search for. But put in Jesse 20, so JESSE 20 in all caps, and you get 20% off. So it's just something, that I was able to get for the audience. But anyway, so I checked the cortisol and I checked my C-reactive protein, because I also was like, well, I know that my inflammation should be lower because of the things that I do. I'm constantly doing things to reduce stress and reduce inflammation. I'm always in the cold and all these things. And then the other thing I decided to test was vitamin D. And that was because, first of all, of course, with everything going on in the world and the pandemic and all these things, of course, vitamin D is so important for that, but for like pretty much like almost everything when it comes to your body. So I decided to go ahead. Okay, I'll check vitamin D as well. I assumed, and actually it was the assumption of the audience whenever I was telling you guys about this. My assumption was that my vitamin D would be pretty much fine. I supplement. I've been supplementing with vitamin D for years, and I take a pretty high dose. I used to supplement with 3,000 IUs a day. And then whenever everything hit, I started to bump it. I bumped it up to 5,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. And then, of course, I'm always walking around half naked outside. So I figured, I'm probably set. I'm probably just fine. Let's see if I can adjust that just a minute. All right, I gotta get comfortable. But I figured I was probably just fine when it came to vitamin D. So here are the results. So I haven't tested my testosterone again. Actually, I just did the test. You spit in a cup or spit in a little vial, and then you send that off. So I just did that a couple days ago. So I'm waiting for that to come back. But I got my C-reactive protein back, and much to not my surprise, my C-reactive protein was little to nothing. It was just basically, I don't have much inflammation, and so that's not a huge surprise. That's actually what I expected. Even though I exercise and I work out a lot, and of course that does, you're going to create inflammation whenever you have muscles that are sore and things like that. My C-reactive protein was incredibly low. And then let's see here, what else did I do? And then when it came to my, I also checked my hemoglobin A1C, which is the percentage of hemoglobin. It says, I'm just reading the description here. It's the percentage of hemoglobin, a protein within red blood cells that transports oxygen, binds with sugar, and becomes glycated. So I had my score was fantastic. It was on the high end of good. So those were not really huge surprises. I engage in breath work every day. I do ice baths and cold showers, and well, you guys follow the channel, you know what I do. So those things were not surprising. Vitamin D was on. It wasn't crazy low, but it was on the low end of normal. So let's see here. Let's see if I can show you this. So if you take a look at that, I'm still in the green technically, but I'm on the low end of the green. And they even said, that, okay, yeah, and it gives you some encouraging words. It's like, hey, you're almost there, being at this percentage of vitamin D. So I have about 70% of what my vitamin D should be for my age, all my information. And they said that okay, so you might experience brain fog and exhaustion throughout the day because of this. Your levels aren't too far off from where they belong, so keep heading in the right direction. So so I was really surprised by that. So I wouldn't have known this had I not tested it. So I'm glad I actually tested it. So I highly recommend testing it. I'm thinking about putting together something for the channel, kind of like some kind of a biomarker testing like challenge, just because it's really incredible to me. I think it's really cool to be able to move these, because my goal, whenever I get the testosterone thing back, I've been making different changes in how I sleep. I've been trying to really be more mindful of my diet. I've taken some supplements. I started adding a few supplements, so it's 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 some things that I'm like, okay, I'm going to see this change. I'm going to make this change, and I'm going to pay attention to it. So yeah, it's not free. So I wish it were free, but yeah, it's not free, Rusty. And it's and you don't have to you don't have to stick yourself with needles. Well, I guess technically you do. So my wife, she tested herself for her thyroid because hypothyroidism is in her family, and she was worried about it. So she got this thing, and I don't know if you guys watched me prick my finger, and I had to drip 5 drips of blood onto this piece of paper. Well, she had to prick her finger and for the thyroid thing, and oh my God, it was like this monumental thing. I mean, it is kind of scary. I mean, you know it's going to hurt, but it's just a little prick on your finger. So yeah, but basically, I would recommend, if it's something you can afford and it's something that you want to, if it's something you want to get into, I highly recommend it. It's something that I'll update you guys on my progress. Vitamin D, that was kind of a surprise. Let's see. The other one was cortisol. So with my cortisol score, basically it was about perfect in the mornings. In the evenings, it was a little bit elevated, which is pretty normal for a lot of people, especially because, hey, you have a stressful day, you have a lot of things going on and things like that. But I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to make a point of adding a little bit extra breath work to my evening, and maybe trying to just be a little bit more mindful of that, because I want to make sure that I'm keeping those things low, so that I can get a good night's sleep. Because if it's showing that I am stressed, now the other thing is it's just a snapshot, right? It's just a snapshot of that day. It could have been on the day that I took this test that I was particularly stressed out that day. Maybe, I don't know. I don't remember what was going on that day, but maybe there were things that were, on my mind, or that I was worrying about, or something like that. And it could have been that's why it was slightly elevated. But these are little markers. These are little things that kind of help. And so I'm laughing because I'm getting a question. So Mara Wilder, how in the world are you able to grow your beard so fast, Jesse? Back to the beard. What I need to do is do some kind of a hair sample to see if there's something. Maybe there's some kind of a genetic anomaly. Maybe there's some kind. It's getting long. It is getting long. But anyway, so that is something that I'm doing, and I recommend it. These guys, the nice thing is with Base, they give you a lot of recommendations, and then you don't have to wait for them to mail you your results back. It's all on your phone, and it makes it really easy. So hey, Alex, nice to see you here. Let's see. Corey says, I just learned what biotesting is, so thanks for that. I'm taking control of my life recovery, and I'm flying blind. This is very useful to me. Oh man, Corey, dude. Yeah, well, you know what? We're all flying blind. And so the best we can do is find other people that are seeking out good things. And so I'm glad you're here, and it's nice to have you, my friend. And if there's questions that you have, if there's anything I can help you out with, as far as, especially, I don't know what you're recovering from, but I've recovered from a few things, and so feel free to ask away. So yeah, Maro Wunder, he says, I just realized that people already commented on it, so you didn't even know. This is why I probably do need to do an episode on beard something, but I don't consider myself like a beard expert. The things that I consider myself an expert on when it comes to beards is like eating or, I guess, fielding questions. Nobody ever, people feel like they can just comment, and I'm not saying you guys, okay, but I'll go to some place I'll be like, I'm an English professor, things like that. And people they feel like they just want to make comments about your beard, and they're not always flattering comments. I'm like, hey, man, chill out, dude. I'm right here. You're literally telling me these things about my beard. So, all right. So let's see here. So Rusty Gaming says, any thoughts about making this a part of a larger training thing? Like you take a test prior to breathwork workshop. That's a pretty cool idea. I think when it comes to biomarker testing, it's going to be something that you want to look at more than just one thing. You want to look at your diet, your sleeping, your water intake, your exercise. But I think it's definitely something that you can apply to. Okay, maybe I've got these things under lock, and then maybe I just need to add, this one thing and see how that one thing changed it. So that would be a really cool idea. Corey says, right on, man. Thanks. Found out you and Wim Hof this summer. Looking forward to this journey. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Wim is, he's going to be doing a virtual workshop. I forget when that is, but it's coming up. So that's going to be really kind of cool. And hopefully he'll come back to the States, and maybe I'll get to be the MC for his event again. And, that'll be great whenever everybody can travel. But right now we are just, kind of a little bit in a lurch. However, I just to let you guys know, I have 4 Wim Hof method workshops on my website now, and you can literally sign up. I also have a Wim Hof method weekend in March in Wisconsin. So March, what was it? 26th. Bear with me just a second. I think it's 26th through the 28th. I have it posted on our on the community page. Yeah, March 26th through March 28th. It's limited seating. We only have I think we're only allowing like between 15 to 20 people on this, but it's a full weekend experience. So it's a nice deep dive. There's also a lot of other things that you can do, but we did the same thing earlier this month, and actually Rusty Gaming, he helped me make the video. If you guys saw the most recent video on I'm going to take an ice dip, that was his editing on that. So lots of ice, lots of snow, lots of good stuff, and that's in March. So save the date if you are up for that. If you're up for a weekend excursion in Wisconsin, save the date, because we've gotten the dates finalized, but we haven't had, we're not selling tickets just yet because it's through the resort. So that's coming up. But then I've got, let's see, I'm headed to North Carolina in April. So I'll be at Mandala Springs for 2 workshops back to back. One is a fundamentals, one is an advanced workshop. And the beautiful thing about this is the location. It's actually set on top of a craft chocolate factory. So you can buy craft chocolates like that are just like actually really good for you. This guy, he makes the highest quality I've ever. It was like herbs and so like he infuses the chocolate with all these cool things. And then I'm going to Chicago in May. So I literally just uploaded that today. I'm doing 2 workshops in the Mount Vernon area at the Spear Training Center. I'll be there May 22nd and May 23rd. So lots of good stuff. Let's see. JCC says, I'm Chicago based and started Wim Hof methods 2 months ago. I'm going to see if I can swing this Wisconsin weekend. Let me tell you this, the Wisconsin weekend, the cool thing is we're at this golf resort. So normally a golf resort, this place shuts down during the winter. So this is their first winter to ever do anything. And it is so nice. Like, this place is so nice. The coolest part about it is we're the only ones there. So the only people there are Hoffers. And it's this cool, it was just such a perfect weekend. I think it was like 2 weeks ago that we did it. I mean, there's so much space, and like there's opportunities for like you can go on hikes and like real nature hikes, really beautiful nature out there. And then of course dipping in a frozen over lake, which is something not many people get the chance to do. So if you can, yeah, come on out and it will be awesome. Yeah, exactly, Rusty. Literally, okay. So just in case you've not done a lot of cold exposure. So for many of you guys, if you've ever climbed a mountain bare chested in the snow, if you've ever really done a like heavy, hard cold training, you know that there is nothing better than chocolate at the top of that mountain. Whenever I was in Poland over the actually just this a year ago, literally this time last year, I was in Poland with Wim. We were doing I did a couple expeditions, a couple weeks of expeditions. So yeah, so this has been kind of rough. But anyway, at the top of the mountain, that's when everybody breaks out the chocolate, man. And dark chocolate. It just tastes so good. Something about chocolate. So yeah, so you can get the finest chocolate, and it's all ethically sourced cacao. And his Roblin Festi, and if he actually has a YouTube channel too, because I insisted that he started one because he's such an interesting person. And I said, Rob, why don't you have a YouTube channel? Like, you know so much. You're such an interesting person. Start a YouTube channel. I'm going to have him on this channel for a YouTube live sometime. So I want you guys to just be here and ask him a ton of questions about chocolate or about acro yoga, or he's really good about, like, you can go throw him in a forest and he can survive on, nuts and berries. So he's just amazing when it comes to that. And he gets the herbs from the Appalachian Mountains. So it's all naturally sourced herbs from the Appalachian Mountains. He infuses that in the chocolate. And so in April, let's see, might as well give you the dates. Let's see, in April, it's April 17th and 18th. April 17th and 18th. That's when I'm going to be in North Carolina with Rob. And let me tell you, I'm bringing my family because it's going to be that fun. Like, it's so gorgeous out there. And then we're going to be doing our cold dips in a natural creek, and the water in that creek is so full of minerals. It's like this really healthy water. Every time I go to Rob's place, he's like, drink as much water as you can from, because the tap water at his house is this natural spring water that's full of minerals. Drink as much water as you can. And like, he told all of the people that came to our workshops, while you're here, drink as much water as you can because it's full of all those just really good minerals. So absolutely good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Let's see here. We got a few comments. I'll get to that. And then maybe we'll talk about confidence. I was going to talk about that. I've been getting a lot of requests about that. And I do think I'll make some videos. And actually, if you guys have requests for videos, hey, we got like 20 people here. Throw me some requests. Throw me some ideas. I'm happy to oblige many of them. I mean, don't expect them all to be made, but hey, you guys are here. It's Friday. I'm celebrating my friend's healthy childbirth, and hey, it's Friday. Why not celebrate a Friday anyway? Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay. Let's see here. So yeah, JCC Piano Studio. That's awesome. Are you a musician? I assume you're a musician. That's really cool. Yeah, definitely come out. We would love to see you. I brought my guitar last time, but we had so much fun doing activities that we didn't even get time to jam. So let's see. Corey says, I'm afraid of danger, so I'm waiting to be with you or other certified trainer. Okay, maybe that was that was referring to something else. Fed up with having to self-discipline with ice baths, looking for an instructor pushed in workshop. Okay, I get it. Well, let me tell you this. And this is one of the reasons why I started the channel, actually. And one of the reasons, and the primary reason why I wrote my ebook on cold training. So I do have that ebook, and I've updated it. If you bought the first edition, you automatically got the second edition for free. And by the way, I'll probably be updating it again this year, and you'll get third edition for free. Anybody that buys it off of my website, you're just going to naturally get all the updates for free. But here's the thing about cold, and the reason why I wrote this book, and it was this. There was an expedition of 5 people. I think they were. I think they might have. I don't remember where they were from, but there was 5 people, and they decided to try to climb Mount Snežka by themselves, without a guide, without any training. I guess maybe they had trained a little bit. I don't remember the whole story, but they made some really obvious errors. If you're a really serious cold trainer, they're obvious. If you're not a serious cold trainer, you don't have a lot of experience, they wouldn't maybe be as obvious. But they tried to climb Mount Snežka, and that's an incredibly cold and windy place. And there was a snowstorm or something that came up. They didn't take any gear, so they just went up, just shirtless and stuff like that, right? But they didn't take any safety precautions, no safety gear. They ended up having like frostbite, hypothermia, all these things. And I'm like, dude, we've got to really be careful, right? The cold is this amazing thing. It's this beautiful gift, really, that we have the capacity to train with. But it is something that you need to be respectful of. You got to respect it. And that's the thing. So often we get hubris, right? We get this sense of I'm invincible. And that, to some degree, is a great attitude to have. Yes, no fear. Awesome. Great. But you don't have to be afraid of something to respect it. I guess you don't have to be afraid of something to be afraid of what it could mean if you were disrespectful of it. So, for instance, if you want to be guided into an ice bath, I think that's smart. On the other hand, there's a lot of people that just, they get in by themselves and they're okay. I wish I would have had someone to guide me early on, because back when I was practicing Wim Hof method at the very first, all I had was the 10-week course, and that particular course did not really go into ice bathing so much. So I just I was just feeling my way out. And also I was just using my bathtub, and I'm such a big guy that in my bathtub, like my skin was touching the bottom, and really the only place where there was ice water was just on my chest. So it was kind of weird. Papa Geek Skull. Yes. Glad you're here. So anyway, but I didn't know how long was a good amount of time. And of course I had I wanted to have some kind of bragging rights, which is the worst way to go about it. So I went too long, and I had, after drop. I didn't know what after drop was. I didn't know what to do if I had it. So there's nothing wrong with waiting for your first ice bath to have a coach there. And just remember, always err on the side of caution. And it's just like anything that is like serious, like if you're doing weight training, or if you're, you're running or doing anything like that. Your body can take a certain amount of stress, and it's healthy. It's good. But if you go too far, obviously, hey, you can really hurt yourself. And if you don't go far enough, then maybe you don't get the benefits. So anyway, let's see here. Here we go. We got some beardy weirdies. V Thomas says, yeah. I'm a beardo. Let's see here. So let's keep going down. So yeah, V Thomas, just come on out to a workshop. Corey, come on out to a workshop. We'll. Here's the thing. Once I think sometimes it's helpful to be shown how to do it, and then whenever like you come to a Wim Hof method workshop, or like for instance in my ebook, In my ebook is just about cold training. So whether you're doing Wim Hof method or not, it's how to train in the cold so that you get benefits. But it's nice to have some guardrails, I think, at first. And some people do. Now, I was talking to Joseph Coburl, who is the former world record holder of the longest ice bath ever, and he just kind of was drawn to the cold. I was not drawn. I was repelled. I hated the cold for a long time, and so for me, it's been something where it's really been helpful for me overcoming fear and really getting through that fear of discomfort for me. So, all right. So let's see here. Let's see. Papa Geek. I don't know if you're asking me if I'm a Stoic. I do ascribe to some Stoic values. Skull. I do quote Seneca quite often. Marcus Aurelius Meditations was quite life-changing for me. So absolutely, Stoicism is. So one of the things that I think, and I'm not going to dwell on this too long, but Stoicism, sometimes people misunderstand Stoicism because sometimes people think that a Stoic can somehow, it's a practice of not feeling, right? It's like this whole practice of not acknowledging your emotions. But in reality, it's not necessarily that. It's a matter of domesticating. I forget who the philosopher was. He was a Stoic philosopher in the 19th or the 18th century. Probably well, it might have been 20th century now that I'm thinking about it. It's a little bit more recent. But he made the comment that we domesticate our emotions, and I think that's what we're trying to do. It's just like they're not wild. They're not taming us. We're taming them. JCC Piano Studio. Yes, I'm a pro pianist, composer, and a music teacher. That is so cool. I need to brush up on my portable instrument skills. Guitar jams sound awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, if you come out to so my friend Rob Linfesti, some of you guys are in my Patreon club. Rob Linfesti, he does a lot of my music. He is an amazing pianist. And whenever we were training with Wim Hof in 2016, he and I made a point, because I brought my guitar, he brought his keyboard, and he and I made a point, we're like, okay, we're going to jam every night. And we did. We jammed all the time, and it was really a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to jam. So yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. All right, let's see. So Moose Mans says, I would love more information on hold on inhale versus hold on exhale in retentions. Okay, so essentially, this is in my book. So I would highly recommend checking out my book, A Practical Guide to Breathwork. Not because I don't want to tell you, but because I in that book I go into, there's a few different things you need to understand first to really understand why there's differences. But just a simple answer, and then again, read my book. Hey, the audiobook is coming out soon. It should be out February 5th. That is like, I'm holding out. So anyway, I got a little excited there. But definitely read my book. I've got a good explanation for how these different breath holds affect you, whether you're practicing, no matter what it is that you're practicing. But I would recommend, just as an example, I would recommend reading that. And then you could also just test what the effect of a breath hold with a full lung is on your body versus a breath hold with an empty lung, just how you feel, right? Right now, if some of you guys are in my my 6-week course that we're doing. If you're not in the 6-week course right now, I'm going to do another one after this one's over. And we cover all the aspects of breathing. Actually, next week, we're covering breath holds. But the big thing is, what signal do you want to send to your autonomic nervous system? That's really the key. So whenever you have that big, full breath hold, you're going to send a different signal than you would send on an empty lung. Okay. And there's not necessarily it always does this and it always does that. It's one of those things where it kind of depends. And it's also one of those things where it's usually, a full lung breath hold is going to be more fight or flight. Usually a neutral lung breath hold is going to be more rest and digest. Again, it all depends. So read my book or come to the Breath Mastery Club with us, and we'll explain it a little bit more in depth. But that's kind of the gist. They send different signals through your vagus nerve and ultimately to your autonomic nervous system. I don't know if my microphone is loud enough. I keep seeing that it doesn't seem like it's loud enough. Check. Is it even picking up? Let's see. Anybody help me out real quick. Can you hear me well? Because the little microphone on the, okay, good. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Okay. And Moose Man says, I do have the book. It's great. Hey, awesome. I'm so glad you like it. Check out the Kumbhaka section, the breath hold section. And if you still need some more in-depth guidance as far as how it affects you specifically, because it's going to be different depending on different people, then Papa Geek, you are hilarious. It is a pop filter. Yeah. But if it what was I trying to say? It will be different. One way to test how it's going to work for you is testing your heart rate whenever you have a full lung versus a neutral lung. So let's see. Rusty Gaming says, you're crap. I'm going to get one from Jesse. I'm not sure what that's about, but I'm going to go back up and because I've got some other comments here. Hey, you know what? We'll talk about self-confidence later. Let's see, guitar tricks or jam play. Let's see. What's in the health elixir? Oh, what's in the health? Hey, that's a secret. This is my favorite beverage, one of my favorite beverages. Usually I sip on kombucha, or I'll have there's a fizzy drink that I like that I don't necessarily want to give them any free advertising, but it's not booze, okay? And many of you guys are like, hey, so what if it is? It's cool, man. Guitar tricks or jam play. I'm not sure what you mean there, B. Thomas. Which is the best online beginners? Guitar course. I'm not sure. It's been so long since I started. It was literally the 1900s whenever I started playing guitar. So brown activation video. Yeah, the brown activation. Let me tell you why I'm not going to make a video for brown fat activation. It's just because it's so hard. It's something that I have to really be with the person. I do teach it whenever like on a one-on-one, and I've even not really been teaching it much in Wim Hof method workshops. A lot of people just don't really, it's not necessary. It's really not necessary in order to practice Wim Hof method or anything. It's a cool thing to know how to do, but it's so hard to teach. I liken teaching brown fat activation to teaching a person how to ride a bicycle. Think about that. It's not learning how to ride it. If you had to teach a person, so think about how you would describe how to ride a bicycle. Okay. Well, you sit on the chair, right? And you turn the pedals. Done. Oh, you got to hold on the handles. Well, we all know that the hardest part of riding a bicycle is something you kind of have to feel out, and so it's different for different people. So I always want to be one-on-one or at least with the people that I'm training so that we can kind of see how that works. But thank you for that suggestion. Let's see. I'm 16 and scared of talking in public. Any suggestions? Here's where we're going with this. I was going to talk about confidence. Now we're going to talk about confidence. Public speaking. Edward, okay, 16. First of all, you're head and shoulders above most people because most people won't admit that. Most people won't admit being scared of things, and other people will just assume that, no, I don't want to do that. And so whenever we're scared of something, oftentimes we decide, I just don't want to do it. And we make that excuse, right? It's, I'm afraid of this. Therefore, instead of doing what I want to do, which is what I'm afraid of, I'm going to just make the comment that I just don't want to do it. That's what I'm going to start telling myself. No, okay. So Edward, you're saying, I want to do this, but I'm afraid of doing this. Now, first of all, this is one of those things where people have said this for ages, that public speaking is one of the most scariest things, one of the things that most people fear. Second, it's the number one, and then the second one on the list is dying, right? So I don't know if that's really true. People have said it so long that maybe it is, maybe it isn't true. But when it comes down to it, here's my best advice for you. And I think I'll make a video specifically for you. So thank you so much for that question. I see a lot of good questions actually over here. So we're gonna get to those questions. I'll briefly answer them so that, hey, because we're having fun on a Friday. Cheers. But maybe I'll make some videos for these. I'm trying to not just keep making the same old darn video over again. I want to give you as much as I can when it comes to breath work and cold training. But there's a lot of things that people ask me about, and I'm like, should I make a video on that? So I appreciate this. So the question is about public speaking. The number one way to get over a fear of anything, okay, so this is for anything, is exposure. And so no one wants to hear that, right? So no one really wants to hear, hey, that thing you're afraid of, the only way you're not going to be afraid of doing it is to do it. So many of you guys know that for the past 10 years, I have been a college professor. And then since 2017, I've been a Wim Hof method instructor. And since like 2018, 2019, I've been a breath worker and personal trainer. And so I've gotten an enormous amount of practice speaking in front of people. And I'm to the point now, only because I practice so much, only because of that if you put me in front of a crowd, I can talk. I don't care how big the crowd is. It used to, but it used to not be that way for the longest time. And I remember whenever I started student teaching when I was in graduate school. So in graduate school, I had zero money, as most people right after the economic crash of 2008. We were a lot of us were in that situation. I was broke as a joke in 2009 and 2010, whenever I was a graduate student. In addition to that, I was recovering from an addiction, heavy addiction, to opioids. So, hey, way to go there, Jesse. Way to put yourself in a terrible position. Broke and addicted to drugs. So, but I made the decision as I was quitting my addiction, I needed to start something new. I needed to start moving forward instead of retreating. So I started into grad school, and instead of being able to pay for my graduate school, I was a graduate teacher as I was going to school. So the job is you teach college like freshmen some really low level classes that technically you can teach as long as your professor monitors you, and then you get so many credits that will help pay for your graduate degree. And so I did that. And I'll never forget how scared I was to walk into that classroom. There had to be maybe 12 to 15 students. I was absolutely terrified. And the first day, I remember when I got through that day, I celebrated, right? But the thing was, I knew that I had 16 more weeks to be doing that. And not only that, but I had 2 years ahead of me where I was going to need to do this to be able to pay for my master's degree. So I knew I had a lot of that ahead of me, but I celebrated my first day because I made it through the day. And I only taught 2 classes that day, and it was 2 different classes, the same thing. It was over a subject that I was pretty familiar with, right? And what happened is over time, I developed the ability to deal with that fear. And so over time, okay, I speak to another crowd, or maybe I'll speak to people that are your own age. Sometimes are the hardest ones, because you want to be involved in that community. Oh man, maybe they're not going to like me. So I guess I'm going on a little longer than I wanted to on this, but the ultimate reality is find a small way to speak in front of people, and then do it. The other thing is, and this is something I'll add to the video I'm eventually going to make for you, Edward, is that imaging. So something I practice still to this day is imaging in my mind. I will put myself on the stage and imagine all of the people there, and I will give the entire speech in my mind, and I will do that over and over and over and over and over again. And I will recreate, before it happens, I will create the experience as much as I can. And that also seems to help me a lot. So I'll make you a video. Thanks. Some MDs are advocating cold training unless you get a dose of contagion, then sauna if you can. And then V. Thomas says, serious note. Thanks, Jesse. I'm in London. And the Prez says, no time. The Prez says no for the time being. So okay, so V. Thomas is asking about well, yeah, if you're sick. Okay, so here's the thing: if you're sick, you should lay off on cold training, and that's just because of the principle of cold training. I'm going to switch to water now. The principle of how we improve, if we're just simply talking cold training, based on the studies, if you do regular cold training, you are challenging your immune system, and that is something you don't want to do if your immune system is already being challenged. You don't want to add another stressor to it. It's the same principle as if you have an injury, right? Suppose you sprained your shoulder. Well, you'll want to take some time off from doing military press, okay? Because you're going to give yourself time. You want your body to be able to focus on the healing rather than the stressor that you're putting on yourself. Sauna is a great option, but you can overdo it there too. So I would say, hey, man, enjoy the sauna. I love the sauna as well. When it comes to the sauna, that one of the nice things is whenever you elevate the temperature of the body, you do inhibit many of the functions of like a viral infection to replicate itself, which is kind of how like getting a fever it has similar effects to that. So yeah, I mean I wouldn't technically disagree, but if you're not sick, hey, keep it up with the cold training, man. Anything going on for Wim Hof in Nashville, Tennessee? Debbie, oh, hey, I'm working on it. My hope is that this summer, it'll be over the summer in Nashville, Tennessee. You guys got some snow down there not too long ago. So, but yeah, my buddy Dave Whitley, he and I were working on some ideas for putting that together. And so stay tuned, Nashville. It's coming up. Just bought Meditations, Pickled Egg says. Great read. Absolutely great read. Thanks, Jesse. I'm in London. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Rusty Gaming says, I heard about Stoicism through history. It gave me a much different perspective than just reading. Yeah, than just reading Marcus. Actually, I would say for most philosophy, I would recommend not reading the primary text first. I would recommend reading some of the some of the secondary sources. And when I say secondary sources, I'm in that professor mode, but secondary sources would be things that people have written about the primary source, the actual document that the philosopher wrote. And that's simply because for a lot of us, we don't have maybe the cultural references or the understanding of maybe some of the vocabulary or things like that from the original source. So it's nice to get to ease into it. Let's see here. So why do you think that they are closing so many of the saunas? I don't know. Let's see. That was funny. Don't give up the day job if cruel, inaccurate. I'm not sure what that was about. I do have the book. It's great. Okay, cool. Um, okay, I'm still working my way through. And Papa Geek is still correct. My beard works as a pop filter. Let's see here. Yes, Carlin, I enjoy kombucha. Kombucha, my father makes kombucha, and it's actually relatively easy to make your own, but I just have never gotten in the practice of doing it. It's all I can do to drink it. So of course, it's delicious. Even like the home brew stuff is really good. So Edward says, "Are you going to upload this live stream later on your channel?" Yeah, this is going to be directly to the channel, and then it'll be available later on. Let's see here. It's very hard to find a guitar teacher in lockdown. Okay, V. Thomas. Okay, now okay. You listen up, V. Thomas. Sit up straight and listen to it. Let me tell you this. It is. I mean, lockdown is going to it's going to suck, for like infinite amount of number of reasons. But when it comes to if you own an instrument, okay, this is my advice. This is my friendly advice to you. If I were you, I would start to at least get all the chords, all of the things that you can get on your own, And then what happened for me was this: you learn a few scales, like the pentatonic scale, and learn a few scales. Pentatonic scale is probably the most commonly known. And you start to, what I did is I started to listen to the music I like, and then I tried to figure out what they were playing by ear, and that really helped me a lot. And then there are some pretty good online guitar courses. I don't really know much about that, but I know some of my friends. I could probably find out. Let's call them right now. I was like, wait, what? But the thing is, there probably are some people, some courses on just some that are going to give you some guidance. A teacher being there is you're never going to find anything better. I'm not going to argue against you there, but man, if you're on lockdown and you've got nowhere to go, play guitar, man. Practice. Timothy Bonds, hey, thanks so much, Timothy. Things are pretty good. Let's see here. V. Thomas says scholarly articles on brown fat activation through a plant-based diet. I'm familiar with some scholarly articles about brown fat, but nothing like comes to mind when it comes to like how it applies specifically to a plant-based diet. So I'm not sure if I can help you there. Okay, Carlin wants more about public speaking. All right, we're doing it. More than one person on this particular thing wants to know about public speaking. Maybe we'll do a series. Rusty Gaming was talking to me the other day with some ideas about some series to help some people about this, because it's just one of those things where, let's face it, we've been locked up and we've been boxed up. And this is my house that I'm in right now, and I love it. It's really, I'm very thankful for the place that I live. It's not a huge house, and I'm not rich or anything, but it's just a beautiful place. It's nice and open, and there's lots of light. I work out of this house all day long, and I try to get out as much as I can. But there are not let's take it back to Aristotle, right? The commonplaces, right? The Greeks would call them the commonplaces. You would go down to the city square, and you would just have dialectic with people, right? Or conversations with people. And we just don't have that whenever everything's closed up. And even if we do, you can't see anybody's faces, right? and it's hard to see if someone's smiling at you or what they're doing. So we need to get some. I'll make some stuff on this. So if you guys don't mind, if I do make these, please watch them and like them so that I feel like, well, if they totally bomb, then at least you guys like them. Let's see here. Let's see. So hey, JCC Piano just signed up for the client level on my Patreon. Hey, I will be talking to you directly, my friend. So I'll look forward to seeing you and talking to you. And so there's only so many client levels, and that's the client level on the Patreon is the hope is that we can get you into a regular practice. And it's at a significant, it's 66%. So it's 1/3 off of my normal hourly rate, and you get an hour with me every month. So I will be reaching out to you to make an appointment soon, JCC Piano. I can't wait to talk. Maybe we'll talk music a little bit too. I don't know. Let's see here. Okay, so well, you're not on right now. She said she had to run. Well, anyway, if you're watching this in the recording, let's just scroll down. And if I missed your question, feel free to pop it in there again. Let's see. I mean, daily shaver after getting out. I noticed recently that you started taking hot showers instead of cold ones before bed. Still doing that? Okay, thanks for that question, Morrowinder. Are you an Elder Scrolls fan, Morrowinder? I don't know. If you are, hey, I never played Morrowind, but I did play Oblivion, and I played Skyrim. So anyway, I actually have gone back to taking cold showers in the evening. And that's what I thought, Morrowinder. I've gone back to taking cold showers at night, and the reason is my schedule. So I've gotten a lot more busy during the day. For a little while, for quite some time, I would take an ice bath in the midday. And so now I'm back to doing cold exposures, cold showers, and doing ice baths in the evenings again. And honestly, I do think I sleep deeper when I take a super hot bath or super hot shower in the end of the day. But the cold one really is nice too. And honestly, it makes me feel more comfortable when I take a cold shower or an ice bath before, like an hour or so before bed. I'm actually more comfortable getting into bed than if it's a hot one. But the science does show that if you do take a super hot bath or super hot shower about an hour before bed, there are a lot of signals that it sends to your biology that it's time to go to sleep. And I do feel like that is accurate because it really did help me. But hey, man, life happens, right? And life is life. So now I am back. To evenings. Actually, my ice chest is primed right now. It's got the right amount of ice around the sides right now. And so I know that tonight, about 7:30 tonight, I'll be getting into that thing and hitting it. Now, I've already taken a cold shower today. The water, oh boy, Papa Geek, he's here. Oh, Papa Geek, he's going to judge me. I can feel you looking at me, Papa Geek. Okay, I'm going to figure this out. So, I'm going to tell you what it is in Celsius and in Fahrenheit. So the water here is 45 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 1.5 degrees or we'll say about 2 degrees Celsius. So it's super cold, super cold. I got it, Papa Geek. So it's a super cold shower. I took a 5-minute cold shower today. I went to the gym. I did a leg day. I did about 30 minutes of cardio, and then I came home. I did a little bit of work, and then I went to the shower. Took a cold. I had to wash off. So what I did is maybe I'll make a video on this, how I take a cold shower, because I think a lot of people don't do it the way I do it. So I step in the shower, and then I do turn it to hot, but I step in the shower before I turn the cold on. So I'll turn it on, or before I turn the water on. So the water's off. I step in. I turn the hot on. It comes out super cold. So I get that nice shock, right? And then it'll warm up and I'll wash my hair and my beard. And then I'll go back to super cold. And then I'll stay in for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And then voila, I'm clean by that point. And then if I do get time to take an ice bath that night, I'll take an ice bath. If I don't get time to take an ice bath that night, I've already had a nice little cold exposure, no big deal. So that's kind of how I do it. And maybe I'll do a video on that later. Let's see here. What else we got here? So Lee Wilson says, this is the only group that I really am interactive with. Well, hey, brother, it's nice having you here, Lee Wilson. I'm trying my best to interact with other groups I'm in rather than standing back and not saying anything. It's all about learning as you go. That is right there. Okay, if I could just highlight that last sentence, it's all about learning as you go. That's life. And here's the thing, I'm a fan of Carl Jung, and I'm not an expert, but I'm a fan, and I'm studying more and more. And there is a case where this woman was in her 60s. And one of the big things is individuation, the process of growing and becoming a new person constantly. We're constantly growing. And what happens all too often is we get to a certain age and we decide, well, I'm done, right? And that sadly enough leads to stagnation most of the time and a lack of feeling even worthwhile for living. And he tracked this person. She continued to try to grow as a person. And that's what I'm going to try to do. That's what I recommend we all try to do, is we're constantly growing as a person. And guess what? Growth is often painful. Growth is usually uncomfortable. And so whenever you find that discomfort, you can rest assured knowing this is probably on the right path. Because growth, think about this. My son is 5 years old and he will occasionally tell me that his legs hurt. And I know what it is. Those are literal growing pains. But all of life, right? You know what? There's another thing. I've been taking DMAE on a regular basis. I've been taking that for a while now. And it's one of the side effects of DMAE is for some reason I can't think of the word. One of the side effects is a certain kind of dreaming. What is it? Lucid dreaming, which is really fun. But more commonly than not, I can at least remember all of my dreams, which I find to be a fascinating practice of just literally remembering and meditating on your dreams and trying to see possibly what the subconscious is trying to tell you. What is the subconscious trying to tell the conscious mind? Maybe there's more. Maybe I'm receiving other kinds of signals, but that's something, there's another video I need to make. So thanks, my friends. And you know what? Let's see, who was it that made that comment about interacting? Let's see. Yeah, Lee. Thank you for interacting. Thank you to everybody who interacts with me here, because I'm trying to figure this stuff out too. and it's nice to have a tribe. It's nice to have a group. It's nice that pretty much every Friday, we can all get together and at least have something like this. So that's fun. And it's not just fun. It's something that helps us grow. Let's see here. I'm not sure. Okay, so here we go. I don't recommend, but I learned guitar by just playing my favorite songs. Rusty, that's how I learned most of mine. And then I started writing songs. I've never played you guys a song that I've written. Maybe I'll do that sometime. I just don't want to be overly self-indulgent. So you know how it is. Like a guy, he writes a bunch of songs, and most of them probably suck. And so he's like, "Hey, man, listen to the song, and then you kind of feel obligated to say, "No, that's really good." I don't want to do that to you guys. Let's see here. Start maybe with bass lines. Yeah, start with root chords. When you're playing guitar, "No One No Cry" is actually a pretty easy song. I just really enjoy it. So Papa Geek says, "What podcast do you listen to regularly?" Oh my gosh, now this can get a guy in trouble, because that tells you a lot of people might say, if you listen to this podcast or that podcast, this is your worldview, or this is, you must think this or that. So here's something that my wife and I'm going to answer your question, Papa Geek, but here's something that my wife and I decided a long time ago. Um, the United States, and I don't know how it is elsewhere in the world, but the United States is a place that is we're incredibly more divided. And so my wife and I decided we were really going to always have a we were going to have a really diverse point of view. Even if you don't like what the person is saying, you find a person who says it well, who's entertaining and fun to listen to, and you kind of like, maybe I might disagree. But she listens to a lot more podcasts than I do. I only actually have two podcasts that I listen to somewhat regularly. I have a paid subscription to Sam Harris's podcast, and then I listen to Philosophize This. I love those. Those are probably my two favorite ones. There are some other podcasts out there. Of course, I think everybody occasionally listens to Joe Rogan if you listen to podcasts. So there are some Joe Rogan podcasts that I've listened to that I will listen to. Like, I'll see who's on Joe Rogan this week, or if it's like somebody like, especially actually, and this is just being honest, if it's going to be a crazy person. Like if Alex Jones is on Joe Rogan, it's going to be hilarious, right? So that's normally whenever I'll listen, or maybe whenever it's somebody who, is, or maybe it's somebody that's like, oh, cool, I've always wondered what this person is like, or this or that. So yeah, it's, so sometimes I'll listen to a podcast, but just because the guest is going to be kind of funny, or maybe it's going to be a nightmare, like, stuff like that. So I'm not familiar with Mark Sargent, but maybe I should look up Mark Sargent. But The Undertaker, yeah, he was on this week. I really see. I never really got into wrestling whenever I was a kid, or any. It's funny. I know professors that I work with that they watch wrestling regularly, and that always surprised me. But then again, I have seen. And I'll admit this. It's long enough. This is far enough in this broadcast that probably only you guys, only the 23 people that are on right now will ever hear me say this. But I've seen every episode of Dog the Bounty Hunter. Okay, and let me explain. So when I was a grad student, I wrote this piece of fiction, and I had a joke in there about Dog the Bounty Hunter, because if you've ever, maybe sometime I'll upload some of my fiction writing, or some of my other kinds of styles of writing, other than hey, this is how to do this kind of thing. But I made it in that it was a joke about Dog the Bounty Hunter, and my wife thought it was funny. This is when we were dating. She was a fan. She was a fan of my writing, guys. And so at one point, I made a joke, we should watch Dog the Bounty Hunter, and we did. And we found it so entertaining that we needed to watch more. Before you know it, I was a dog fan. I was like, man, this guy's awesome. He is, judge me all you want, but Dog the Bounty Hunter, at least how he was presented on this, how he was presented on his television show, was this strange saintly man who took the criminals to jail and like gave them some kind of it was almost like a a meal and a cigarette and almost like a church service or something like that on the way to jail. It was, for me, it was just like I couldn't get enough of it, and it turned into this thing that me and my wife we kind of bonded over. so so anyway, there's my guilty pleasure, that one, and actually that's the only one I'm going to share with you right now. Let's see here. So V Thomas, let's see. Wait a minute. So Papa Geek says it is a nice tribe. This tribe is a really nice tribe. Let's see here. I'm gonna scroll back up just a little bit. And Carlin, yeah, age is just a number, and it's one of those things where I think it's sad in the West. In the West, we don't value the wisdom of old people. Like, we are ageist against old people. No one wants to get old. We want to be young forever. And I think there's a value in every age. And I am so happy now at the age of 40. So some people get depressed, but I think it's a matter of perspective and appreciating the fact that you've had time to actually maybe glean a little bit of wisdom. So Rusty Gaming says, I almost always remember my dreams. When I go over with my therapist, who's very Jungian, it's so much fun. Yeah, absolutely. Jungian psychology is a blast. Papa Geek says, I second what Lee Wilson said. This group has something. Yeah, I can't put my finger on it. The group I'm interactive with, it's the only group I'm interactive with. There should be some Discord thing or something. We'll figure something out as time goes on, and we'll see. And of course, you can always join the Patreon. I'm trying to think about new ways that we can interact through the Patreon club as well. So let's see here. So Corey's going to follow me on Instagram. Awesome. Yes. And I'm not an Instagram babe, but I appreciate it. So thank you. I appreciate that. V Thomas says this cold training, they won't let you independently explore all this cold training, and they won't allow us to independently explore Antarctica or the restricted areas to the north. Well, yeah, that's true. Let's see. Simple Jim. Hey, Jesse. Been wondering this for a while. Is it counterproductive to work out and work up a sweat before cold exposure or cold shower? It's easier for me, and I kind of feel like I'm cheating. No, it's fine. You're totally fine. The only discussion that sometimes people have is, will it blunt your muscle gains? Which I personally, I've been weight training and cold training for years now, and I have never seen a problem with that. So yeah, feel free. Yes, it is true that you are entering the cold with an elevated body temperature. So yes, it's going to be a little easier, but that's fine. You're still training in the cold, and eventually that little edge you had, it does dissipate, and you're challenging your body. So you're cool. Yeah, Dan's listening to Sam Harris too. Right on. Let's see here. So if Alex Jones is on the podcast, I'm watching. If he's on the Young Turks, I'm watching. I don't care who it is. Alex Jones, controlled opposition. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, Boomer. Oh boy. It's sometimes funny, but mostly sad that people say it. Ironic and sad. Yeah. Would like to recommend the Wizard Factory podcast. Interesting. I highly recommend it. It may change your outlook on a huge number of things. The hosts, Brian and Logan, are really cool dudes. Well, hey, man, maybe I'll check that out. I don't have a whole lot of time for podcasts. I wish I had more. When I'm traveling is whenever I tend to listen to it. Like whenever I go to Wisconsin in March, it's an 8-hour drive. So I'll probably listen to a podcast. So that, I travel a lot, and those are the times I really dig into podcasts. Throughout the day, I don't really get a chance. I listened to a little bit of Sam Harris today at the gym when I was doing cardio. It was the steady state cardio, which kind of is just monotonous. So it kind of helped that. Let's see here. Lee Wilson, I'm in the UK and I watched Dog the Bounty Hunter. Hell yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad it wasn't just me. Let's see. Paul Barker says, "Hi Jesse. I would be able to get on the course. Let's see. Let me just see if I've missed part of this. Hi Jesse. Would I be able to get on the course the next time it comes around? Absolutely. So the course, this first rollout was, I will say, it's the cheapest it's ever going to be because it's the first rollout, and I haven't added all the frills, which will come later. But if you started on this one, don't worry, I'm going to take good care of you as well. So it's not like I'm just going to love you and leave you. But the next one, I should have more frills. I should have more of it figured out, and all of the technology will be a little bit more user friendly. If you guys are in the current breath work, the breath mastery class, it's a little glitchy as far as the way we've got it set up right now. So you've been really nice to overlook that. And so, but yeah, absolutely. In about 4 weeks, I'll be starting my next, I guess 5 weeks. I'll be starting my next cohort, and it will be a little bit bigger. And yeah, it should be pretty easy. And I'll let you guys know when that comes out. So I'll start promoting it and say, hey, it's time to sign up. It's also, if you haven't bought my book, it's a great excuse to buy my book. So what I do is, if you buy my book, there's a code at the end of the book that will give you $20 off entry into the course. And that works every time. If you want to take the course multiple times, I don't care. It will always work. So $20 off just for buying my book. And the nice thing is, the book will help you understand the class even more, and the class will help you understand what's in the book. So that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to make it, I was like, okay, I want it to be as user friendly as possible. So anyway, guys, I've been going for about an hour and a half today, and I'm going to try to make a few videos that you guys have suggested. I just got something here from Knight Rider. I'm going to read this. It looks like there might be something. Hey Jesse, I seem to always get a blocked nose nowadays, and I'm not sure why. My room is really cold all the time, not by purpose. It's just that way. Could that be a reason? Well, let's talk about this, and then I'll get out of here. There are multiple reasons why your nose might be blocked. There are multiple reasons. In the wintertime, it's very common to have dry air, especially if you are in a cold climate. And I would say the number one reason why people have sinus issues is because, at least if they live in a drier climate, it's because of the dry air. And if you continue to breathe really, really dry air, what that will do is it irritates the membranes in your sinuses, and they will swell, and they'll suffer inflammation, and that's going to make it hard to breathe. It's going to stuff you up. So that's the primary thing I would think about. Get a humidifier for your room. The second thing is, you might be experiencing, there may be irritants, things like that in the air. These are the two most common, and they're the easiest to address, fortunately. If you have irritants in the air, you can get a filter for that. If that's something, hopefully you can afford a filter. If not, maybe try to think about, it may just be as simple as going through your room and just really dusting things off, and trying to keep a really good habit of cleaning dust out of the room. It could just be something as simple as that. So those are the two most common reasons in the wintertime. If it's in the summertime, then it might be a little bit different. It may be allergies or things of that nature. But in the wintertime, those are the two biggest ones. And they're so simple that people want to look for all sorts of other reasons. Well, it's this or that. Dude, if you can check the humidity of your air, your humidity should be 35% to 45%. So that's approximately what you should shoot for. Guys, happy Friday. Happy Friday. There is a little baby that was born into this world today who I have not yet gotten to see. I'm going to go try to see him tonight. My good friend, they had a very healthy little boy, and so I'm really really happy, guys. Celebrate today. Breathe happy. Nice deep breaths in through the nose with a smile as you breathe. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you next week, and don't forget to go be kind to one another. Bye bye. Sam's Ladder. Awesome stuff. See you guys.